fell to the floor. The massive amounts of soul energy they had accumulated seeped into
The
the
day's
ground
already
around
over,
them, converting into soul
and I was
sand,
able to do no
by the
work.
souls of those killed by the
I could do some work right now, but I'm too sleepy, and I want to play.
And some are released by our soul speakers.
The game I've spent, frankly, way too much time on already.
The skulls of the withers, the places with the highest concentration of soul energy, split off, combining with the soil turning into smaller skeletons where the host died, leaving only the rib cages in their wake. And if you somehow manage to gather 3 skulls of the wither skeletons and reunite them with the soul-infused blocks of their creators, well, you know what happens next. That's why the withers that we summon are so much smaller and weaker. It's the same soul energy possessed by the ancient ones, but only combined with the skulls of their minions, the wither skeletons. As to what could have caused these monsters to go extinct, well, I don't have a good answer. It could have been natural, a lack of food as they consumed everything around them, or some sort of extinction event, an asteroid which would explain why the fortresses and bastions are so ruined, although that can also be attributed to just wither attacks. Maybe the ancient builders showed up in the Nether and killed the monsters, who knows what they were capable of. But I am certain of one thing. Ancient withers used to roam the Nether and infuse the land with their soul energy, creating the soul sand as we know it today. And that is the story of Minecraft's fossils. If you have any ideas, suggestions, or things you want to talk about, please be sure to comment them and I'll try to read through as many as I can. If you enjoyed the video, again, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot and I really do appreciate it. Shout out to Game Theory, obviously this video was in their style, as well as shout out to Reddit. I'll leave a link to some Reddit posts down below that helped inspire me with this theory. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and peace out. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Thank you so much for watching. Watching this video within 30 minutes of your time, want to give you some information about Breath of the Wild that's been out now, definitely worth watching, I guess. Let's go. Sometimes the weather reports on the Sheikah Slate are completely wrong. It'll show you nothing but sunny weather up ahead, and then just start raining out of nowhere. Now you'd think the game would always give you an accurate forecast, because why wouldn't it? So it's possible that these are just pop-up showers and the sun icon overrides the rain icon on the weather report, but this could also be a glitch. My research is conclusive on that. I've only ever noticed this happening while it says it's sunny out and it's raining, not while it's cloudy and then it starts thunderstorming or anything like that. It's just every once in a while you look out at the weather to see when the rain is going to stop, and you even notice that it shouldn't be happening in the first place. With a Korok leaf wind gust, turbo wants to skip snow on the water. In normal conditions, circles and squares will skip out equidistantly from the shore. But if you skip into the wind,
you know, I'm gonna go do something crazy real quick for this episode.
Also, if you line up the bombs,
I've basically done all of the grind, the tedium required, at least main story-wise, as well as technical gameplay-wise, because those shots are very useful, contain very useful stuff like great fairies and armor and rune-related, basically a lot of important permanent stuff.
As linked cinematically
falls back down to the ground in slow motion. Usually what happens is a fade out to white shortly after the arrow explodes the eye. And as I said, why this animation happens is not all that understood, but it is a recurring phenomenon reported by multiple players. The best guesses I've seen hypothesized are a frame for a deep rest as the arrow hits the eye, or otherwise doing something odd in the moments leading up to the shot while in bullet time or while entering bullet time. The piston launchers you see in the bomb shrine will launch Link farther and ease the ragdoll state when they go off. So if you time it just right, you can launch Link on top of bombable boulder blocks within the shrine, and then speedrunning the chances of this happening is so low it's considered lucky to nail it. Those circles, this ellipse, the CPI scheme, named after the first player to pull it off, documented that it's possible. In casual play, trying to shrine this way would be one of the most unorthodox and work with the harder, non-smarter approaches possibly. Bottom line is sometimes what we need to play although the game doesn't know exactly how to apply physics in his body. Is most often what is forcibly shoved into a wall of floor or practice. The easiest way to replicate this is by wind bombing in tight spaces like shrines. You can sometimes get some really funky and sometimes hilarious effects with the animations. I've even gotten a sort of breakdancing incident. Another pretty funny and useless glitch I came across randomly while filming another scene was this infinite hop animation initiated seemingly by landing on an optional step-up spot out of exiting a VLSS or something like that. I had to turn on the hand cam for this craziness just to show you I am not holding this is just weird stuff. I wasn't expecting that when I moved Link off the spot. I kept in that state a little bit, and then did it a bit on the ledge below before stopping and going back to normal. I expected him to go back to normal as soon as I touched the controls of the ball. Pretty weird stuff. When Link gets wet, it generally takes about 20 seconds to dry out. There are variables, but the amount of time it takes to stop your Link is seemingly not affected by running, jumping, attacking, or just plain standstill. You can quickly wait for quickly the sun shines while standing out in the sun, dry Link off faster than usual. Both while standing right next to the campfire took a usual amount of time. Just barely get things shits wet, you'll start to get out of the water and it'll dry off right away. Get wet, get out of the water, but then move in just a little bit up to this weird shits. Forever to stop dripping, but it will eventually dry off. And if you get Link wet, then enter into a conversation with an NPC before he dries off. Never stop dripping until exit this text box. Oh, and just so you know, whenever you jump on any shop or don't understand what you're doing, you generally can't jump on sport countertops inside buildings, but you can for the most part on cast mechanisms. Apparently, some shopkeepers may have 2 or more variations of dialogue to let you get out of it, but I only ever got one response from every NPC that disrespected research. Every time I say how many different ways there are to open treasure chests in this game, don't point out another way to get it. I think this right here is the last method left unmentioned in this series. You can break open metal chests by using magnesis to move them into place, then running over to a cannon, firing a bomb at it. Then when you go over to check the chest, it'll be gone, but the contents will be laying on the ground. I mentioned 1 minute ago that Zelda has 3 outfits we see.
Fuck, I didn't mean to. God damn it.
And then what I saw in well, many of you wanted to clear it up.
Enjoy it.
DLC Quest Champion for Holly Song, we do see her in a winter jacket. And to be honest, I really did only remember seeing this outfit in the but it is in Breath of the Wild as well. So thank you everyone who chipped in on that for keeping the series accurate. I mean, this outfit is so popular, there's even cosplay outfits available online. Apparently, many of you are still characters, it makes sense that you need to Zelda games. So what I mentioned in the 20-minute video about Locos and Lionel's closing an eye while firing, whereas Moblins do not, is some evidence that shows Link probably doesn't. but it's sort of inconclusive, led to a lot of discussion. What I learned is that while it's common for dinosaur turns to close one eye while firing, it narrows your field of view to try to get target, thus making it not the ideal way to aim, not the way to throw into it. I guess there's even a whole thing about it. To be honest, I didn't have any information on moving on, so this led me even further down the rabbit hole than I went before. First thing I did was confirm that when you see Lincoln's selfie mode and the mode does not close one eye, consistent with the announcement trailer and chat.
Yeah.
Then, luckily, someone needs to scope on other motive evidence. So to answer with 100% confirmation, does or does not Lincoln close one eye in this game, the player is actually playing firing the bow. The answer is does not at all. That team makes no facial expression whatsoever. Game developers probably just figured, well, they're going to see what he's doing with his face. We don't need to animate this. But this screenshot right here is a mod that more or less allows us to move the camera around and analyze the game better and even animations. Beastosaurus domain is a clip over these very key. There's a sign that warns to jump at your own risk. Warning you might take seriously considering the place is called Shatterback Point. The game isn't just being sign. Now go ahead and jump all you want. It's fun. Like executing jackknife dive. Well, I don't know if it's a jackknife, but it's very graceful. And you can also do a crazy lunge chop dive and some kind of handball with the sword looking thing. It is so high up that if you drop a bomb from the top, it'll despawn because Link falls so far and massively. But if you drop the bomb somewhere and you go down, it won't despawn, it'll plunge deep into the water and take a good moment to return to the surface. If you detonate the bomb while it's in the water, it's sort of underwhelming. Yet, despite the intense height it is totally safe to make this jump anytime. But only if you jump to the tip of the ledge. If you jump off a little bit to the right, you'll still get the dive animation, but you have to dive directly into a bed of rocks. Thus, the name of this place. Like over at Proxima Virgo, which you are talking down if you hop up on the ledge in front of you. It talks about his attitude toward themselves and to be considered. Truthfully, I was trying to jump off the ledge just so he would try to stop me so I could get a job for the video, but he wouldn't do it. When I gave up and just went to go relight the torch, then he finally chimed. I was just trying to relight the torch. I didn't even know it would go out, but why would it? I thought it was throughout the street, scan lands under beds while the blood goes along with the there are so massive trees. Whether or not it was intentional is unclear, but they do resemble some real-life trees called the Sequoia dragon trees, or Canary Island dragon trees, which only grow to about 39 feet tall. And these trees out here don't quite have the same canopy, but they do look quite similar. And for a video like this, it's worth mentioning. The Nintendo Cheese has this shape inside this cabinet next to its corner desk area that says rats, as in rats for finding this little Easter egg. Initially, I thought this was I noticed that the news on the street has it posted all over the shop with the messages and I'm sure it's probably the there's also message signs that say caution. There's a video I mentioned in my weapon after you build a great, but it's barely worth it in my opinion because things have why. In addition to those 5 weapons, you can also make Cirrhosis, A-Brain, some of you may see it as whereas I'm going to believe that a 9 should learn worth significantly more than the 24 all on its own. Of course, we're not talking about the lane shoot. I like to use it a lot if there are breaks in the solution will recommend that available for simple monetary transaction. But while we're talking about components with self-that shit was referred all the time, you'll wonder whether or not she's free. She wants to feel bad. It's probably because they're not only sweet looking, they're touching the edge of the sheet. Wood, earth, should also pick up the Stalinese head and carry it around with you. Find a quiet place to hang out. You can bring it to you are close, so you can actually hear them growling and rumbling. You don't continue to do this until 5 in the morning, and all of a sudden they drop it and pop on the ground. Link's house is right on the edge of town. Now, sure, that's pretty obvious on the map, but yeah, you cannot gallop a horse in town, so you have to slow down to a trot or a canter. In fact, if you have spurs charged up, they won't get recharged while you're riding in town. But partway through Link's yard, you can gallop. You can do it in this little fenced-in area right behind the house. So the is right on the exact border edge of the container. And while we're talking about this house, it has this shed in the back door. Unfortunately, you cannot just walk this play, but you can click through the wall and see this empty broken missile that's inside. Rugaro, owner of the Goron City clothing shop, has different responses depending on how appropriate the dress code is for a Highlander hanging out on that mountain. Well, more accurately, he sounded in a casual conversation while on fire close to it. It's understandable, it seems like it's for your safety. He just keeps on warning you to cover up. Until he mentions selling something, then he'll just chill and buy up all your inventory that you offer and pick up a 2-star upgrade armor. Like, it's so weird. You want to put it on, but not sell it to you directly and have to go over the advantage. I want to take more, and since I already had it, to buy it off and get a big loss, and try to sell it back to you. I thought you cared about my love. It's just business. I tried talking to other blogs, and not all of them. None of them, although this guy over here showed that level of concern. This is not. Or he's trying to avoid a human insurance and PR disaster. Moblin skulls in the highest position.
That's Style Horse. Oh.
How to ravage anything with eyes facing more on this side of the not to suggest that models are prey animals until Link shows up, but the eyes on their head are in the same places. Prey animals, not predators. What a sharp, perfect free ghost of bomb strike.
Wait, no, don't eat them.
This little area here, generally behind the line. It's not super exact. Wherever you see it, scope aim at the middle of the ball to set the spacing direction, and without touching the left pulse, as you can see the left bumper to take out the circle off, right bumper to toss it. If you did it properly, you should ever miss a shot. Hey, by the way, I'm supposed to hang out with my buddy LeBron James after this, but he said it was my turn to bring the snacks this time. You know where I can find some championships. He said there's me. Anyway, you can also shoot into this basket, but that's a much more difficult shot from a little farther away. And speaking of making long shots, not long shots, there's a boulder on top of this decrepit structure over here on the Great Plateau. Basically, you can push it out its explosives and take the unsuspecting goblins below by completely surprised. But this boulder is also perfectly placed for another surprise attack, and in my opinion, a much more badass. If you stand in this exact spot and set things facing equal properly towards the eyeball on the right side, and charge the boulder all the way up.
I could have actually just teleported.
Best for accuracy.
Yeah, whatever, I'm already here. May as well.
If you can shoot the eyeball of the skull using a revolving scale, yes. Those 7 heroine statues out in the desert. One of them has a broken sword. You stand on the top of the broken off part. You will revolving scale up the statues of the sword. You can shower the bottom over.
Oh, look at landings not looking very safe right now.
Two waterfalls. You stand around the edge of the board downstream one and jump off. It does a weird jumping somersault animation that I haven't seen happen anywhere else. I tried to get it consistent enough to be like I was at the water park or something, but it takes more practice than that, and it's not that anymore. The entirety of the heat repeat is made of ice, starting around the elevation of the Nova Sun Shrine, the rock suddenly stops or moves ice over made by a gigantic glacier. It's kind of translucent, but you cannot climb on this surface. The sanctum is the highest point of the castle and it's notification when you enter, but it's not the highest room. Instead of going directly into the sanctum for the final fight, you go up one floor where there's another room, and you can see the top of the planets coming up through the floor with these malice tentacles and needles putrid all over the place. Go down this passage that takes you into the sanctum and walk along the edge so as not to start the boss fights and make your way over.
There's supposed to be DLC armor here.
Outside the cutscene. Well, not really. It's more like just crouching, but on chairs or stools, something without armrests, and you scoot off to the side so that one foot is on and one foot is off. So then it looks a little bit more like Link is sitting in a relaxed position with terrible posture. Zelda's bedroom leads to this hallway that's being blocked off by a bunch of rubber metal. Get to the other side from this direction, but you can't get out of bounds and approach this hallway from the back. If you do, you'll find a picture frame back here that you'd otherwise never see. The portrait inside the frame has been destroyed exactly like just in bounds over there. Also, if you get Link to grab on high enough on the back of this wall, he'll hang awkwardly as if he's rock climbing at the edge and about to fall. Link's lower half goes fluffing around.
I don't think I can wear the Phantom armor.
High speed into a wall straight out of a glitch. They need 2 glitches to Link fast enough to get this effect as far as I've seen. I've done it with both Link bombs and BLSS. When I did it with BLSS, I was above water and Link dropped down, and when he went down, he disappeared under the surface. While using a camera and while Link is holding a one-handed weapon and 2 selfie modes, there's a kind of battle stance pose that he'll strike if you have a shield out. If you pan the camera behind him, you can see the shield clips with the sword pretty badly. But if you don't have a shield equipped, he'll raise that one-handed weapon straight in the air and form a big pose. With 2-handed weapons, he'll do the same pose whether or not you have the shield equipped. It doesn't matter. It's always sunny in Tarrytown. It can be stormy or cloudy or
don't forget the spears
around the areas around. But as you fly in, the weather will change to clear and beautiful as the Tarrytown theme music chimes in and the name pops up at the bottom left. I've seen other players claim that they got rain, but they don't show any proof, no footage. I don't have any myself, so I think they're doing something wrong or they're just mistaken. Literally every single time I'm in Tarrytown, the weather is gorgeous. From Eldin Tower, if you look to the west, this lava formation over here looks like a big smiley face. For best results, you've got to check it out.
Oh, well, there goes all the yellow hearts I was trying to save up. Yo.
Bases. Ever since Minecraft first introduced multiplayer, bases were just a thing that came along with it. As long as there are going to be people on your Minecraft server, there are going to be some people that you want to keep out of your house. Whether it be to protect your valuables or to just get away from your annoying neighbors, making a safe Minecraft base is pretty standard and something we've probably all done. Over the years, there have been hundreds of videos posted by creators, massive and small, all showcasing the safest house in Minecraft. But surely I can't be the only one that's watched these videos and been like, why can't I just bridge over it? And yeah, I get that's all in good fun, but it begs the question, what is the safest base in Minecraft? In a game with infinite possibilities, there are a ton of different traps and defenses you can use to guard your house. However, they can almost all be defeated by simply mining or towering. But what if there was a base that couldn't be raided? A base so secure and protected it is physically impossible to get in.
I know one of these chests is supposed to have ancient arrows. Where the fuck are they?
What I think to be the safest and most secure, unbreachable base in all of Minecraft, and afterwards I'll put it to the test against one of the best escape artists of our generation, Mithrodan, who straight up told me it was impossible. And we'll see if he can find a way in, or if I've won. This is Minecraft's safest base. And of
Something's
course,
going on with my camera.
if you do end up enjoying the video, then please consider subscribing. We're on the final stretch to 1 million subscribers, and I'd love to get there before the end of the year, but I can't do it without your help. So please subscribe if you do enjoy, but with that said, let's get right into the fun. To design the most secure base in all of Minecraft, we have to decide what defenses we're going to use. There are all sorts of defense mechanisms like blaze cannons and chunk fans, and I'm going to go through and rank them before we start building. But before we continue, because I know this is going to be asked, if the base is so secure, how are you going to get in? Well, there are two very easy solutions. One is with the use of a timed Ender Pearl stasis chamber. You may know that using bubble columns, you can store an Ender Pearl and teleport back whenever you want. You can set up a hover clock, leave the base, and once the clock goes off, you're sent back. Or, alternatively and more easily, you can just die. If you set up an ender chest and put in all of your stuff, you can then kill yourself and respawn back at the base where you can access your stuff once again. Neither are particularly flawless, but sacrifices have to be made if you want the safest base in the whole world. But without further ado, let's look at the defenses. The most basic defense in Minecraft is the obsidian wall. It doesn't get much more standard than this. The obsidian wall is sturdy, blast-proof, and is relatively hard to dig through. But we can just go around it. Okay, well, we can just go over it. Okay, well, we can just tunnel under it. Okay, and now we're getting somewhere. But we can still mine through it. So how about using regenerative walls? This design is a classic and has been around pretty much forever. You set up a cobblestone generator with a piston underneath, you can make a wall that fixes itself when broken. So whenever someone tries to break in, the wall will automatically fill and you'll be made whole. However, this design, like the previous, isn't foolproof. For one thing, you're vulnerable at the redstone. The redstone portion of the build, for obvious reasons, can't be guarded very easily. Not to mention, you can't make a working roof without a very awkward edge that can be infiltrated quite simply. So maybe regenerative walls aren't the way to go. Well, what if the player can't get to the wall in the first place? What if we had a moat? The moat is a classic defense mechanism, and usually you'll find people building giant moats out of lava or some garden-infested water. The latter is actually much more effective since you can just use fire resistance on a lava moat. But you can also just tower over a guardian moat, so that's no good. Well, how about turrets? Perhaps there is some sort of artillery that can make it close to impossible to approach our base. A very commonly used candidate is skeletons, or even blazes. While blazes can be bypassed using fire res, that doesn't stop the skeletons from completely penetrating our intruder. That said, if you use the super advanced tactic of digging, you can get by these guys pretty easily. But what if we made a giant void moat using glitches to remove the bedrock? We set up a giant canyon that's guarded all the way down to bedrock by skeletons. Well, now it's gonna be really difficult to make it in. Except it won't be if you fly. You can just fly on top of the base and break your way in, even if it goes to build height. In theory, you can gather a lot of evokers and have them protect our house, however they can eventually be killed or just sniped by using a potion of invisibility, which is a fatal flaw of all mob traps. How about TNT though? If we submerge our obsidian base in water, we can set up TNT cannon dispensers that will periodically set off explosions near our walls, so that any player trying to mine them will be pushed around and disrupted. Combine this with hits of Elder Guardians giving the player constant mining fatigue, and now we have the makings of an almost unraidable base. However, with enough dedication, not even this is impenetrable. For instance, if you make an obsidian tunnel up to one side of the wall, then sponge out the entire area, nothing is stopping the TNT from blowing up the dispenser that shot it, and then any intruder can have easy access into the base. So that doesn't work either. Oh, what's this over here? You should probably do that. But then I had an idea. A glitch that I showcased in one of my previous videos, and who knew it would come in handy once again? An indestructible end crystal. If you don't know, you can respawn the dragon using 4 end crystals. However, if you log out of the world while the dragon is respawning, every end crystal that generated will be indestructible, unbreakable, and pushable by piston into the overworld and out and around your base. Granted, this would take a ton of work, but now we have an obsidian wall covered to the brim by unminable, unbreakable end crystals. Their hitbox protects the blocks behind them, making it impossible to break in, except intruders can just use the same method that we did. If they set up a piston, they can pull the end crystal out of the way and mine the obsidian behind it. So that's a no-go as well. Another strategy I had in mind was chunk bans, and at first this seems really promising. A chunk ban is a device used to permanently kick off anyone from a server by overloading their computer. Put simply, it involves making this cursed book full of a bunch of characters and storing it in a dropper. And once that dropper dispenses the book, it's so demanding for the code that anyone in the 32-block radius will be automatically banned from the server. And so, what if you just surrounded your Minecraft base with a toggleable chunk ban on each side? It seems like a pretty good solution to our problem, and it is. But it isn't foolproof. If you shoot an ender pearl over the chunk ban, you just get to the other unbanned side. And if you're wondering why that exists, well, how is the owner going to use the base if the whole thing is banned? Well, what if we made a giant wall of blocks that blocks the ender pearls? The intruder can just shoot it over the wall at build height. We can stack boats above the height limit and block the pearl, but the intruder can just fly higher than that. It seems like no matter what you do, there will always be a counter. I mean,
I just remembered, I need to beat every mini-boss.
A cannon that shoots withers
That's another
at a wall
completion
and
thing.
uses its block-breaking mechanic to break through.
I mean, it's already a lot I gotta do, but it's just a whole bunch more tedious stuff
for me to deal with, huh?
We
the infinite possibilities that Minecraft provides, there will always be a way to get into any base. But what about Bedrock? Bedrock houses are what you make in creative to troll your friends and challenge them to get in. So why can't we just do the same thing, but in survival? Well, that's obvious. We can't get Bedrock. But that's not true. In 2020, Razeworks, a popular Minecraft tech YouTuber, designed this, a Bedrock item farm. Granted, the setup and patience required is huge, however, with enough effort, this farm can supply you with loads of bedrock that you can place around the world. It's a really cool farm, and now with a bedrock wall, nobody is gonna be mining through our base. If you want to be cautious, you can make the walls 8 blocks thick to prevent chorus users from teleporting in. Similarly, if you set up trapped nether portals inside the base, anyone who tries to enter with a portal from the nether will just be locked in when they arrive. It's almost perfect. Almost. Because using glitches, you can just break the top of the bedrock house, and suddenly our secure base isn't looking so safe. Whoever a smart person will just be building it at a height limit. If you set up a bedrock base at the top of the world, nobody, and I mean nobody, can get in. So yeah, maybe making a bedrock box and using a bedrock farm is the best, most secure house in Minecraft. But that answer isn't satisfying. A bedrock farm for a huge bedrock base on an old version of the game? That would take hundreds of hours. There has to be another way. And I was almost ready to give up on this idea, and for 5 months I did. I didn't think it was possible and scrapped the video. But then I saw this. A video uploaded a couple of weeks ago by Mumbo Jumbo making his tiny safe house. And yeah, while his house isn't insanely defended, it does the job and makes a good video. But there is one piece of information in the video that's absolutely priceless and allows me to present to you the safest, most secure base in all of Minecraft. This. What, it's just a regular house? Well, it's a regular house at 27 million x negative 15 million z. You see, on Mumbo Jumbo's video, he left this pinned comment. It's a little disclaimer finished off with the line, "The only true safe house in Minecraft is a hidden one." And that's it. It's genius. It's the reason that the longest lasting base on 2v2t, the most dangerous server ever, a base which survived for 8 years, wasn't defended at all. It lasted that long because it was hidden. It was millions of blocks away from spawn. And for a while, no one raided it because no one found it. It was safe because it was hidden. So with that in mind, and our truly safest house in all of Minecraft, let's put it to the test against Mithrodak.
No. Well, I suppose this is fine. Or at the very least acceptable.
And point proven, it worked. While Mithrodak was able to enter the base relatively easily, granted the exit wasn't flawless, this base was just a decoy, with the real house being just a couple million blocks away, and the actual treasure safe and sound. No chance he'd be finding that anytime soon, making the score 1-0 for the safest house in Minecraft. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing.
I've always used crayons
And
to
as
do that.
always, peace out. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.
I'm glad to be your first epic swag feature.
Like my feature virginity.
Let's not put it like that.
Pero, dami ko ng absent.
Really cool detail that the Fire Nation covered up the outer walls of Omashu, which used to be made of stone, with metal, which prevents any unwanted escapes or breaches from the outside. It's a detail that's not mentioned once in the entire episode, but it's still necessary for the episode to make sense. Weird that Sokka showed entering the sewer pipe right after Aang, but then he's at the back of the line, so we can get this guy. Sokka, for the love of God, close your mouth. Sokka showed to be totally without any kind of voice on in this shot, but then those next shots are all over.
What are you kids doing out past curfew?
Sorry, we were just on our way home.
Wait, what's the matter with him?
It's super weird that the guards noticed the back of Sokka's neck that just has a few marks on it, instead of the back of Aang's neck that has a giant solid blue line. Not to mention, public enemy number 1 of the Fire Nation is a kid with solid blue line tattoos. Moon Conqueror. We're at a full moon again here, but has it really been a month since the North Pole? Upon further inspection, and this Iroh line from 2 episodes ago,
Floating on a piece of driftwood. You reach out over water.
yeah, it probably had. So, keep Moon Conqueror going.
When tracking your mother and whatnot, traveling with a royal procession may break all of your options, even along the lines, in hope to keep the element of surprise.
Why do Mo and Lee go with this toil, boil, and bubble shit here and only here? Would have been a fun gag to have them always rhyming, or it could have gotten really old. Not sure. Regardless, we're the thing that they only do here.
There really is no fathoming the depths of my hatred for this place.
Alright, character introduction, line analysis time. This might be the one that's even a little bit too on the nose, honestly. Like, yeah, May's a downer, but she's not one to just start spitting slam poetry out of nowhere. Despite that, it still does get her character across in the first line or so, mission accomplished.
The targets are approaching. Take them out.
This is an attempted political assassination. We'll just check that one off the list. Alright, so May throws this volley of like canned arrows or whatever, and Aang dodges. But to dodge, Aang jumps on top of this thing, which is like a 10-foot jump. Red flag, man. Someone must have saw that and been like, dude, no one's got that kind of vertical. That dude's an airbender. Overall, despite the first line being a little funky, this is a great first season. Full with it all and always looking for something exciting to happen. It's a super interesting character trait that a character can be so bored that they always want something to do, even if that means wanting something to go wrong or needing to fight. The way May sighs at the end of the confrontation is honestly a better first line for May than her actual first line, if you ask me.
Azula!
Kylie, on the other hand, has a perfect first line. It's just her saying Azula happily, but the juxtaposition of literally every other person against Kylie's home says a lot. She's probably as bright as the brain goes against Langston and obviously gets some shit if she's making up friends to hug Azula and feels at first on Azula's list of Draki or Crack's blood.
Certainly our parents didn't send us to the Royal Fire Academy for girls.
Yeah, great joke, Avatar, but check this out. There's a platypus there come in the background. Weird that the Fire Nation flags around the surface don't have the little strips of cloth coming off. Maybe it's just a military thing. Also, look at this visual storytelling. We get that Kylie is on the surface from the establishment shot, but during her conversation with Azula, she's doing all these crazy poses and stretches. The viewer immediately gets what she does on the surface. That kind of element would have been lost if they just had a conversation while they were down to her feet, or she would have just had to awkwardly drop it into the conversation, which would have done a lot weaker. It's the little stuff like this that Avatar does so well.
So, guys?
Of course not. The day of the invasion, ready ourselves for battle. We're prepared to defend our city, to fight for our lives and for our freedom. But before we even had a chance, King Bumi surrendered.
Bumi's on this whole neutral Jin shit this episode, which is fine, lesson, but expecting his entire city to just fall into line and be fine with being annexed and put under mandatory curfews, and who knows what else, is just bad news, plain and simple. In the end, with him taking back Omachi by himself, it did lead to no casualties on his people's end, but taking himself out of the game until he had no idea what was coming. I don't know, man, that should have be thrown at the very least.
We're all about to come down with a nasty case of pet democracy.
Oh!
This is the kind of thing you can only really get away with pulling off in a few minutes in a cartoon. In live action, this would feel pretty silly. So, kudos on using the form of media to your advantage, I guess. This army guide describes thousands of citizens needing to escape,
But there's thousands of citizens that need to leave.
but we never see more than 100 probably. This really doesn't feel like the population of an entire city. Also, no guards anywhere that saw the thousands of citizens congregating in one area, then alerted someone, or even asked what was going on. Why does Aang do these little trapeze steps? It's always weirded me out. Why does he do it? He just jumps up anyway. Why do they have Flopsy pushing a Conan the Barbarian wheel? Is he powering something? Seems like they have plenty of pole power by the looks of the sky. Why does Flopsy power him? How the fuck did this kid get up here? Another weird rendition of the Fire Nation theme? I guess it's kind of certainty. Flopsy did back up the first year instead of the usual gray and orange for some reason.
I can't wait to see how you'll talk yourself tomorrow. I'm sorry, Azula, but unfortunately there won't be a show tomorrow. The universe is giving me strong hints that it's time for a career change. I want to join you on your mission.
This number has always struck me a little strange. I get the idea that Kylie does that Azula is going to make her life a living hell until she joins the mission, but that's with hindsight. All we really know about Kylie at this point is that she's bubbly, believes in stuff like auras and speaks really beautifully. That pretty much adds up to a viewer thinking she's an airhead. So I don't think this moment is clear enough that she actually gets it, and this universe is giving me strong signs line is a coy way of saying that she gets it. It's too easy to think that that's exactly what Kylie believes at this point, and she's just dumb, in my opinion, at least.
No, that Fire Nation means.
Oh my god, Katara just actually fully backhand Sokka here. What the hell, dude?
It's from the Fire Nation government. Thinks we kidnapped his son. So, must be traitor. His son. King.
That's good.
You stay here. May will handle the hostage trade so you don't have a chance to mess it up. And there is no more Omashu. I'm renaming it in honor of my father. The city of New Ozai.
Huh, well that's lucky. We're already making a big Ozai statue. Thought he have stuff worked out like that.
You brought my brother? He's here. I'm ready to train. I'm sorry, but a thought just occurred to me. You mind? Of course not, Princess Azula.
Keep this in mind. May specifically calls her Princess Azula. I'm gonna bring that up again in a few episodes. This scaffolding battleground is actually a repurposed idea from the unaired Avatar pilot. If you've never seen it, it's on YouTube if you search it up. fun. Unfortunately, they basically don't use it at all, and they decide to use the slide fight instead. I think it's a missed opportunity. If they use both the scaffolding and the slides, this could have been a standout Avatar fight. Another blink and you'll miss it. The shot actually shows Ty Lee jump down to a lower floor before she punches Sokka in the foot a few seconds later. Sick block, Katara. Seems a little needlessly complicated, but still, sick block, I guess. Even though I'm disappointed they didn't use the scaffolding more, the slide fight idea is still really cool, and one that feels organic to the world since we set up the slides almost an entire season ago now. So this shot is showing Yuma definitely within the tunnel of overhanging beams already, but in this next shot, when Aang cuts them all down, she's not even close to the thing. Odd that Ty Lee opts to use just the take your bending away pressure points here instead of the full-on make you not be able to move your body pressure points. Seems like one is just objectively better.
How are you gonna fight without your bending?
I threw that shit before I walked in the room!
Never mind, this is the most accurate use of bending in the entire show, easily. Holy shit, I know Fumi's playing it off like it's not a big deal, but I bet even he's like, oh my god, that was nuts. Ever notice how Fumi's eyes are different too? Even back in season 1 too, that's pretty neat, I would say.
That's why he's a sprinter, isn't he?
Yes, definitely not.
I really don't like what this does to Fumi. I get it, he's the crazy king. He's wacky. That doesn't change the fact that he's fucking people over. I still like him, just this was pretty lame of him. Oh, hey guys. This is really nice. I love that Aang doesn't stay and take the credit and try to take some kind of stance on how he's the good guy and May's parents are evil. This is how a real hero acts. So, this episode is kind of bad, right? It just feels mediocre. Everything feels really cartoonish, from the big plague to the Mr. Magoo baby to even May, if I'm being honest. May's far too cold in this episode. It doesn't feel like the May we see in the rest of the series. It doesn't seem like she cares about her little brother being captured at all. This is the beginning of a one-note character, but luckily she does get fleshed out. But I really don't think it's a strong episode for her. Ty Lee does well though. It's different because the audience sees later that that's just the way she is, but it doesn't make her stupid. Fumi, you know, I don't like it, but it is what it is. So yeah, this is definitely not one of my favorite episodes. Patron shoutouts, if you want to be one episode ahead and see the next Overanalyzing Avatar, right now it's available on Patreon for just a few bucks. You'll be one episode ahead of YouTube going forward if you support me on there. Biggest shoutout of all to Fritz Sullivan, who I saw rescue 4 cats from 4 different trees on the same day.
Fucking got him.
Huge shoutouts go to my other top patrons. Be My Valentine, Bill Canuck, Derek Cornwell, DJ Jax, Stu Mutual Aid, Garmer, Glintlock, Vanna, Nicholas Abbott, Pippin, Parker, Obstacopolis, Glass, Stylo, Super Snipper, and Tiago Nascimento. Next up is The Swamp, which is, let's just say, I can't wait to get to the Blind Bandit. The Blind Bandit's really good.
Nice, Rod.
Episode, we can see a cart carrying masks roll by, and one of them is the Blue Spirit mask. Zuko clearly hit up this cart because the other Blue Spirit mask he had was probably torched when he was nearly assassinated. What's even cooler is that you could hear a little bit of the Blue Spirit music as it passes super quietly. These are split-second moments, but we can see Katara studying the scrolls Papa gave them, and Sokka sharpening his machete. Little stuff like that really makes the characters feel alive.
I don't know. When we said to learn earthbending, I would have to wait and listen. And now I'm actually hearing the earth. Do you want me to ignore it?
Yes. I don't know. There's something ominous about that place.
It's a tad strange that Sokka gets this foreboding feeling the same as everyone else, but then once they're actually stranded in the swamp, he's Mr. Science and Reason Lover all over again. Okay, this is a total nitpick here, but in my head, the three kids look like they're gigantic as they get flunkier, right? It's also really weird how they get Dragon Ball Z through a mile of trees and then just fall directly downwards into the swamp without a scratch on them. I mean, last season Ag went flying through some trees, he got beat to hell.
Sokka, you've got an elbow reach. Where do you think? Why do things keep attaching to me?
This line might feel a little weird, unless you remember last episode when Sokka was covered in pentacles.
We need to find Appa as fast as we can.
I've always liked these little Predator moments. Not only in Avatar, but in pretty much everything. It's used in a lot of stuff. It's a really good way to show that your character's being watched, but without it being given away as to what's watching, which makes the whole situation a lot more interesting. What do you mean there's no way they can hear you? What if they can, like, hear you with their ears? This is a really strange shot. It shows the gang set up their camp in a hollowed out tree, but then the next shot literally hinges around them being able to be seen from all sides, and there's only like this little, I guess, wall of tree behind them. That's a really weird mistake to make. What animal do you figure is making that noise? The closest I can think is a badger frog, which isn't in my top 10 threatening Avatar animals. Might be number like 15. This is a fun little cutaway. King of the Jungle Appa, baby. Appa probably is the biggest thing in the swamp at the moment by a wide margin. So he probably doesn't have anything to fear, other than the most dangerous creature of them all.
It turns out it's man.
I'm getting some original Evil Dead vibes here, man. And if you've seen that movie, you know those are bad vibes. So it turns out Q is better than mine, right? But dude has to be master among masters to be doing this. Attacking 3 different people, precisely running in different directions. Dude must be a god. Look at this. Appa fears no creature, land or sea. I'm having a tough time coming up with an animal alive in this time period that it was assumed extinct at least, that could take a skyways. Why does Sokka insist on having his mouth open in very sketchy bodies of water? Freaks me the fuck out, man. Okay, so Sokka being a skeptic about anything being screwy is fine. Good, works for his character's brain. But when he sees a literal incarnation of the Moon Spirit, who he's personally acquainted with, it's starting to put some doubts in his mind, and considering he's been to the sea world and all, he just couldn't have a show with fusion animals and not put in the whole wet pig fly thing. Good guys.
No, that's what they call it, Leafu. It's all one of the revolution words.
Bet he tastes a lot like possum chicken.
Think everything tastes like possum chicken.
Dude drops his possum chicken line, but I bet you never noticed that they literally show you possum chicken like 30 seconds prior. There he is, and he's in my nightmares too, and yours.
Don't worry about it, we just fixed to eat ya.
What'd you say that for?
Well, we are.
You don't have to tell him that.
How'd I know they'd understand me?
This is an interesting little piece of evidence for the argument that Appa literally understands human language. That is, you know, that he clearly gets what was just said. But there's more evidence later in the show too.
It's just a tree. It can't call anyone. But the last time, there's nothing after us. And there's nothing magical happening here.
He's still technically right up to this point. Please not to the gang does a little switcheroo in places, so Sokka can get chased and grabbed. Avatar is really good at this. Realistically, what the hell is Sokka gonna do in this fight? When he's Machete, the regenerating vine monster, he doesn't really have a role to play, but they still find a way to have him be important in the
forgot about
being
the
captured or
Blizzard
held on
mod.
to for some unknown reason. So he's still involved.
I'll
He
use
keeps
it
him
here.
from just being a cheerleader on the sidelines, which is really smart. I feel like a lot of shows fall into that trap. Here's another one of Katara's classic, I'm gonna run up really close to whatever I'm fighting for no reason moments. You're a waterbender, Katara, throw water at it, you dummy. That's another thing in this episode. Like before when they got set blind through all the trees PvC style, people get ragdolled and set blind tens if not hundreds of feet in this episode. No interest. I don't like that. It makes the action feel cheap. Yo, this is a crazy little detail. Remember the tiara Momo brought Katara back in the Blue Spirit? Go do here with it. That's awesome.
Now, what would a leaf instructor do?
Yeah, that makes sense, Moment. Well, the viewer isn't explicitly told that waterbenders can bend vines or plants, but it's just a natural extension of the magic system. So the viewer can easily just accept it. Yeah, that makes sense.
I get how the tree is one big thing, but the whole world?
Sure. You think you're any different from me, or your friends, or this tree? If you listen hard enough, you can hear every living thing breathe. You can feel everything grow.
The little talk from Q was really nice. It doesn't talk down to its audience, even though it's expected as kids.
Sorry to interrupt the lesson, but we started to find Alpha and Momo.
I think I know how to find them. Everything is connected.
Alright, this is a pretty wild little guru power that Aang never exhibits again. Swarm may be helping him since it's a place that's literally all connected, but gee, this would have been really useful during the 7 or so episodes where Appa is literally gone.
Alpha!
No.
We're under attack! Hey, you guys are waterbenders.
You too? That means we're kin.
Is this where the meme originated from? This is literally the same picture, right? This is the meme! This is the meme!
Where'd you say you was from?
The South Pole.
Didn't know there was waterbenders anywhere but here. They got a nice swamp there, do they?
That's pretty interesting. They didn't know about any other waterbenders? Is this like an uncontacted tribe? It can't be, because Smoke City went to a traveling show once. How is it possible they don't know about other waterbenders?
What about the visions?
I told you we were hungry. I'm eating a giant bug.
But what about when the tree showed me where Appa and Momo were?
That's Avatar stuff. That doesn't count.
Right.
More moon continuity. Alright, it was a full moon last episode, Avatar. You can't have 2 in a row. Get out of here. And here's how Zuko gets his swords again, too. In a lot of shows, I feel like that could have just been swept under the rug, like, oh, Zuko just has his blue spirit gear. But it wouldn't have made sense, considering the circumstances. This is the kind of long-term continuity and care and detail that makes Avatar so special. So, I gotta be honest, this is another pretty weak one if you ask me. Not a lot happens. Mostly the gang wandering around the swamp with some gags here and there, and cutaways to Appa and Momo, which are just more gags. And honestly, it's not that funny of an episode. The vision idea is cool, I guess, but it doesn't really go anywhere. It hints at top, but the rest of the vision is just eating time code, and don't really mean much. We already know Tara misses her mom, but I guess it is nice to see that Sokka still thinks of Ewan. It just took too much time for me personally. The action is also kind of weirdly over the top, which doesn't really feel like Avatar. Like, people get destroyed and sent flying, it just feels weird. And unlike some other weaker episodes, this doesn't have a lot of Zuko and Iroh come in and save the day. Major shoutouts! If you want to see the next episode of Overanalyzing Avatar right now, you can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. You'll be 1 episode ahead going forward if you help me out on there. Biggest shoutouts of all go to our friend Sullivan, who can speak 26 different languages. We are of unknown, perhaps extraterrestrial origin. And King of Stuff, who Ben pressed the school bus off of a kid's leg who got hit under. Seriously, look it up. Other huge shoutouts go to my other top favorite, Levi Valentine, Coconut, DJ Jax, Derek Cornwell. I've said that out of order. Do Mutual Aid, Gerber, Glintlock, Mana, Nicholas Abbott, Larkler Glass, Skylo, Super Snipper, and Tiago Nascimento. Fuck it, I'm keeping that tape. Next one up is Avatar Day, which is one more for the Blind Bandit.
Thought I already got the chest here. What? I can just get that again? Well, don't mind if I do.
Will not go to sleep unless you get online. In Chef Ori Tanu's house in Rizzo City, she has 2 books with different information about cooking. Supposedly, Volume 1 you can read just fine. Volume 2, however, is up on the countertop and they make this either tall or short joke about how the book is up too high. But if Link really wanted to, he could grab that down. It's not out of harm's reach. Don't worry, I got you. The text and illustration in all cookbooks is exactly the same. They all say April 1st. Today was a dry, hot, and sunny day. I went to school. This diary is very important document. It's not even grammatically correct. It's a perpetual April Fool's Day joke, so who cares? Page 2 says how to cook. The Hawaiian hang tags on Goron spice bottles say spice, but there's a finer print that's too fine to see. The Sheikah text seen on the floor throughout shrines says move on with an exclamation point and or a dash, depending on, I assume, how many tiles developers needed to make these paths layouts symmetrically. It'll sometimes say move on, or some variation to have the paths go out longer, and so on. And the text inside the monk boxes says gold plate. That's what it is. Some signs, like the one at Shatterback Point or the ones near Hilton, say read, while others, like the one atop Death Mountain, say info. The welcome mats found out in front of village stores are supposed to say welcome, except in Kakariko Village, where the clothing store, the general store, and all have the textures accidentally here. So technically they say open, but with the letters backwards. In Kakariko, the grocery store is the only one that has a properly programmed welcome mat. Inside the Hitano Ancient Tech Lab, there's some Sheikah text on the wall that says shutter, apparently some custom interior decor. Also on top of the room, there's this cute little sheet frog with glasses and an umbrella, and there's also a giant telescope. While we're on the subject, the Akala Lab also has something on top that's probably a modified telescope that Robbie created, although the lens is odd and there is no eyepiece, making it generally curious looking. The Hawaiian text on the sign at Link's house says Master Link, and the fine print in the corner says presented by Sakurada Builders. Sakurada, or Sakurada, being the Japanese name for bolts. Employed here is the owner and operator of the Lordland Village Casino, which is named Chance All or Nothing. It's here in case you ever want to get lucky. And yes, that's what this banner inside transliterates to. Besides gambling, Floyd's main hobbies are reading and knocking back noble pursuits. And yeah, those are definitely noble pursuits. How do you get those all the way over here? It is a mystery. The Thunder Helm pedestal says Kurugo brilliant in the sun. And then there's this particular poem that we know by the
it's dangerous. Oh! What did I tell you? Point taken. Point proven.
Up on the throne, cover up one word of this poem, which reads, we stand vigilant in the desert sun, we are brilliant over everyone. Bruno is like a desert flower facing the sun's gaze. Bruno grows brilliant while others fade. Vigilant in the sun, growing brilliant, Bruno never outdone. After deciphering all these the hard way, I found a link to every known code breakdown in the game. Wanted it in the description. By the way, depending on what language Android region you set your system to, cover our movie Americas, Japan, China, Taiwan, and South Korea region all get this one, while Europe, Australia, and New Zealand all get this one. 3 out of the 4 languages that don't use the Latin alphabet will write the game title in that language if you set your system to it. The other will keep it in English, not including HD, 3D, DX remakes, anniversary editions, or restylizations, nor spin-offs like the Hyrule Warriors series, Temple Games, weird 90s stuff, random mid-2000s stuff, or movie watch versions. Breath of the Wild is only the 19th Zelda game to ever come out, and obviously it did a lot of things for the first time, or for the first time in a while. For example, analyze the logo and compare it to the other logos in Zelda titles. It's the first time since Into the Past and Link's Awakening that we see the Master Sword coming straight down vertically and weaving between Link and Zelda. Also, as you can see, the Master Sword is the actual sword, while everything else is a solid color or silhouette. The flower, this detail is reflected in the loading icon in the bottom right corner of the loading screens. Lettering and the Silent Princess are all solid, while the sword is outlined with minor details drawn inside. And just in case you weren't already aware, the Silent Princess growing out of the Z is a symbolic representation of the connection between the flower and the human. You get it? The Silent Princess? You see, they're both princesses, but the silent Princess is another nod to the series' history, as Breath of the Wild is the first one to give Zelda a voice. And very likely due to that fact, this is the first game in the series to prevent players from changing these names whatever they want at the start of the game. Think about it, Zelda calls out to Link specifically right off the bat. Among other various early ideas, one of the ways to initially set out to break the series conventions was to have UFOs invading Hyrule, abducting cattle, and raining down hellfire lasers from the sky. And I'm telling you right now, that wouldn't have just broken traditions, that would have obliterated them with no 36 explosive space modulator. A little overkill, if you know what I mean. So I'm glad they toned it down.
Reblins here in the
developers used
Tears of the Kingdom.
The NPCs pop a little more against the backdrops was to use a technique called rim lighting, where you see a subtle highlight around the outer rim of the character models. To get the best results for comparison, you can move the camera close enough to Link that it makes him start fading away, and then push it back out again. As you go back and forth, pay attention to the lighting around Link's edges. You'll see the rim lighting activating and deactivating. The four divine beasts were known originally as the four great relics, and there was much debate on how they should be portrayed. The team knew they wanted each one to be a different animal, but needed to figure out how to depict them properly. According to art director Satoru Takizawa, the champion, the walking animation for modern works was to look as though the camel was a costume with people on the back. And wildlife artist Ayashida said Naboris was designed to look like it was a camel, but drawn by someone who never actually had seen a camel. These ideas helped make the Divine Beast feel ancient and unsettling, yet one of the biggest complaints among Zelda enthusiasts I've heard is not the beast's exterior design, but that it is the interior that needs more variety. Sure, they all look like different animals from the outside, but they look like little more than an intricate shrine on the inside. It's a fair point, I get it, let's move on. So of course they were inspired by real-life animals, but they weren't the only ones. Aoife is based on dolphins, or at least her hair is. King Dorphin is a whale, Uzu a manta ray, and Prince Sidon is modeled after hammerhead sharks. There's also Tiba, who's based on hawks, and Kas, who's modeled after macaws. Initially, the horse god Melania was supposed to have a design more similar to the other four fairies around Hyrule. However, as Melania offers an entirely different service, this would have been an odd fit. Even when you're at the horse god fountain, you can hear the very kind of remix with the Lon Lon Ranch. So instead of making this another fifth fairy, they gave the horse god a horse head and designed the stables around the overworld to pay homage to this theme. While a blood moon approaches, if you collect a Korok seed and let it hold on the text box screen, the sky will return to normal and the ominous music will subside. But of course, this doesn't pick out the blood. Once you exit the menu, it'll still pick up right where it left off. The Lord of the Mountains spawns randomly at the top Satori Mountain during times for the rest of the moons. In case you weren't aware, Satori Mountain is named after the late Nintendo president Satoru Iwata, who passed away partway through development on the 11th of July 2015. After his death, the team at Nintendo said that they could feel the spirit watching over them, which is referenced when the NPC Barrick in Outskirts Stable tells you about a glowing forest spirit who watches over Hyrule with a benevolent eye, not a ghoulish micromanaging. I paraphrase. As a way to pay homage, the team named Satori Mountain after him and made it one of the most beautiful and bountiful locations on the map. I checked the records for the day Iwata died, and the day before we were recorded exactly half of the showing. Later in the month on the 18th,
Get it?
no moon showing. That means on the night of the 11th of July 2015 in Japan, there would have been a little piece taken out of the moon. The first night of a waning crescent. I was blown away to see that his connection to the Lord of the Mountain ran that deep. Then on that note, although Botrick, while he isn't named after him, does resemble
One of the two hardest memories are officially taken care of.
The Japanese word for enlightenment. Its name, Satoru, is the verb form, to enlighten or to realize. So anytime you're over there, you're literally roaming around on Enlightenment Mountain. The starting point for Breath of the Wild's visual design came from the cartoony, cel-shaded visuals when Wind reached, but obviously those were too stylized. Now, if you're unfamiliar with with cell shading, it's non-photorealistic rendering style, and I talk about it more in the 30-minute video. For Breath of the Wild, you don't want players to make connections based on things they knew they could in real life. So the art style needed to have a certain level of realism, but they still use cell shading to not go too far in that direction. Now, before diving into the research for this video, I thought you always got extremely cartoony visuals like Wind Waker with cell shaded games, but the end result of Breath of the Wild is information-dense art with rich detail that comes off as realistic in general, but also has those stylized elements to help keep things light and playful. For example, the realistic-looking wildlife transforming into a perfectly cut piece of meat when you go hunting is one of the ways the game cleverly blended these two elements. Link can do the moonwalk like a really bad Michael Jackson impersonator if you set the proper camera angle and quickly flick the control stick back and forth in the correct direction fast enough. Barely worth it, but it's kind of cool if you figure it out. It's fun. This is Frida, a carnivorous Rito visiting Gerudo Town, who particularly craves the taste of poultry. Yeah, that's right. Frida speaks openly and freely about her cannibalistic diet, and I must acknowledge how messed up that is. But then again, how is that they're morons? There are rock people who also feed on rocks, aren't they? But in searching to confirm concludes that morons got the name rock people because they're made of rock, not just because they look like rocks or because they eat rocks. I could not find that solution. As little as 5 minutes in a company that will fully replenish Link's hearts. The Shrine of Resurrection took 100 years to get him back up to 3. Let that sink in. That's about 8.5 years in the Shrine bed to regain each quarter heart. Pumpkin beds are OP in this game. And if you look at the location outside Quarantino where Link fell and failed to realize her powers, the Dueling Peak stable is much closer than the Shrine of Resurrection. In fact, it's on the way. I say take him there, lay him down in a soft bed, get him back to work tomorrow. Better yet, if anyone had it very handy, is there ever a highlight on the brink of death that a fairy could provide? Carrying Link to the Shrine of Resurrection or Quarantino would have been a huge task, but the guards apparently had help from Rocky and Pura. Once you have a horse registered, if you take it out and tame a random wild horse in front of it, hop off, to call your horse, and immediately mount the new horse again. Your original horse will follow you around as if it's jealous of the attention you're giving the new guy, or maybe he's just being super loyal by never giving up attempting to come after you called by whistling. The platform where you find the Master Sword is a triangle, and the pedestal itself is a smaller triangle upside down raised up in the center. If you were to take this smaller triangle and expand it to the rest of the platform, it would make a Triforce. There's an easy-to-miss, tucked-away little chicken coop at Potato Village that you can put the glucose into. Once you put a bird in the pen, you cannot take it out. They can come out on their own. And I do have one other thing I want to mention about glucose at the end of the video, but for right now, I'll also just let you know that Big Crow and Big Bird. Some of you pointed out how the rubber helmet is shaped like the giant Zora's no main fish, and I can't deny the uncanny resemblance. If I'm going to go that far, may I also present Magikarp forward here? No, it's a bit of a stretch. If after activating Bombado, instead of doing anything, you just immediately go and check my team to make sure it's okay after getting shot, you'll catch the closest thing to cursing I've seen in any Zelda game as he exclaims, "Damn it, pain." The strap across Link's chest is permanent after picking up a weapon or shield, unless you put on your Wind Waker lobster shoes, but you still wear the strap under the shirt. It's still there. Every tower seems high when you climb the names, but the elevation between the tallest and the lowest towers is staggering. All 15 in order, from the lowest to highest goes to number 15. The lowest of the low, followed by number 14, the central tower, which is only a bit taller. And then number 13 is the Great Metro, which is somewhat significantly taller, but you can still grab on our way up to the side. Number 12, the Pharaon Tower, is about as much taller than the Great Plateau as the Central Tower and is over 40 peaks. Then the same thing with the Lake Tower over Pharaon to take the 11th spot. Heading into the top 10 tallest towers. Number 10, the Navy. Grab on our way up, DLSSing straight over the Lake Tower.
Gotcha.
Then number 9, Ridgeland, which is
Now there's just a pan for it, which I don't know where they are.
tower issue, but it made for a cool visual. Ridgeland is only ever so slightly lower in elevation than number 8, the Hateno Tower. Then comes number 7, the Woodland, approaching this one too, results in a significant lack
Guard's
of loading,
chamber.
possibly due to the lost ones in the castle taking priority. Unloaded towers look pretty cool, by the way. The platforms usually complete first, then the core and the top, and finally the climbable mesh detail. You can get a good look at some unloaded towers if you can LSS around from one to the next bar fast enough. That said, moving up to number 6 to Bantha Tower is the most significant piece. It's where the cold barrier begins, and it's one of only 2 where you can't just LSS and hit the tower to grab on. You have to stop short of it and climb the whole thing. After that, you can go around these mountains here to number 5, the Gerudo, then being a straight shot across the map over to number 4, Eldin. Eldin Tower is just above the peak of the castle. And for the top 3 tallest, we have number Ebron, followed in only the tiniest bit of extra height to barely snag the number 2 spot, Wasteland Tower. And finally, at number 1, Akkala is by far the highest in elevation. There is no contest. The difference between the highest and lowest is insanely impressive. Akkala Tower towers over the next tower, and even barely clears the annoying peaks themselves. It puts it in perspective how immense this map is when you PLSS over it.
I'll give it one try.
The annoying peaks towers,
Which I don't think will go very well.
It's almost like how could that little thing all the way down there possibly have adequate advantage for unlocking a considerable chunk of the map, but it totally does. One hit obliterator has the divine beast heads and into each prong if you look closely. Buddha, Ganya, Gaboris, and Do. And the text around the base of the pedestal where you find it says, "Take you." Each of the 4 champion amiibo figures have a cool, iconic cinematic pose that they strike, right? Well, we get to see the story behind how each one of these poses came to be, and let's lead up to it immediately following in each one of the champion ballad DLC cutscenes. People claim this game has a weak story, but I think it's just because it's all Tarantino'd up and mixed up for everyone in a different way, and also because the story arc happened not actively Resident Evil, it's 100 years ago, but the story itself is the closest thing to an actual legend about Zelda herself as far as I've seen. DLC cutscene with Urbosa, why? There are 900 Koroks around the overworld, which comes up to 999. Well, really, you can click this just to keep on hitting it as you want to. Still, in the loading menus, once you pass 900, it'll go as high as that, and for every seed you pass after 900, you collect it. You'll get a little message about how you get those pets. If you get to the castle fast enough, you can make your way to places that are supposed to be covered in malice before the malice. Most of these areas will potentially deal damage until you just get out of the puddle. But if you make your
Oh, there you go. That's my one try.
You get horribly soft locked in a pocket between the upper and lower entrance. I even got an autosave in this little trap and had to leave the castle just to get out.
Alright.
There are 2
Next up, I'm not actually. I'm
I'm
gonna get the Master Sword first.
that go all the way down